Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a SaaS business for sale in the privacy niche. Created in September 2013, this business makes $2,406 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the business is 45013. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Steve, thank you for coming on here today. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. I'm very excited to discuss this business. It's, somewhat different than the normal ones I do interviews for, so I'm very excited. But before we get to the questions that I have for you, I want to go ahead and run through a little quick summary of the business. Again, the business was built in September of 2013, has a monthly revenue of $3,080, expenses of $674 to make for a net profit of $2,406, which is generated on a 7-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the primary domain and all site content and files, all assets, servers, source code, social media accounts, survey results. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure. So I've been buying and selling businesses for about 2 years online. And what I like to do is go and purchase profitable businesses and implement 3 Ps. So people, process, and product. And I go through the business's P&L quite with a fine-tooth comb, I'll say, and go through and implement various different processes that I've learned over the past few years. And before I was buying and selling businesses, I was doing a little bit more of a technology one-off businesses. And I sold a company to Max Levchin, the founder of PayPal. That was very exciting. And I realized that a lot of the very successful entrepreneurs are running multiple online businesses, and that's what got me into the space originally. So following the 3 Ps, what I like to do is, for example, with this VPN business, was I came in and decided that this business can operate extremely leanly with 2 people, one running the customer support and one running the server side, as well as feature implementation, or AKA back-end development. So what I did was I structured various deals with them. Some of them are on a sliding percentage of revenue basis. And what I decided to do was work on the surveying of the 10,000 active users on the platform. So reaching out to them, figuring out what they were interested in for future potential, inquiring with the 10,000 people. We received about 800 to 900 responses about new exciting features that they were looking forward to. And that kind of helps paint the picture for the future potential of a product like this, which is very exciting to not only the entrepreneurs that are listening to this, but also myself. When I bought this business, was the active user base, because that's essentially a way to pave the future of a business, is through your active user base that are very interested in where the product can go. So the company was started originally about 5 years ago, I'll say. And the original owner was just tired, kind of burned out of running the business. And I came in and said, all right, well, I can make this easily a 6, maybe 7-figure business, as long as I can implement the right processes as well as the development roadmap. And that's what I was in the process of doing when I came across Empire Flippers and really wanted to see if there was another entrepreneur out there that's interested, just like myself, in privacy and VPNs and scaling this to the next level.
So then, just to clarify, you did not start this business, you purchased it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And how long ago was that purchase?
I purchased this business about, I'll say 3 months ago. It was in July of 2018. That was the month of where we did the transition, where I bring in my team and we transition everything over to my control.
Mm-hmm. So then, looking at the fact that you've owned it for 3 months now, why is now the right time to sell?
When I first acquired the business, I really was interested in where the future of this can go. And I quickly realized that the market, for example, on Facebook advertising and Google ads are something that I haven't quite gotten my feet wet with. Like, I really wanted to scale that up quickly. But the reality of it is that I'm by no means like a professional advertiser, and I don't spend all my days on Facebook ads or Google ads. So what I wanted to do was turn around, find a professional that was very interested in growing and scaling a business on the advertising side, that knows what they're doing, or could hire someone that knows what they're doing, So this is the right time to sell because all the processes, the product, and the people are in place. And someone that is much better than me at advertising and scaling ads is perfect for the job. I think it's a little bit out of my skill set as far as, running Facebook ads and Google advertisements to get this up and running into a 6 or 7 figure business.
And since the middle of July when you purchased it, how has the business performed?
So it stayed very consistent. I think since July, I think we've had a little under 20,000, users, about 120,000 page views or so. And the average person is going through about 4 pages each, just kind of exploring around on the website. And I want to say that over 75% of that are new users that are coming in organically. And then 25% of that is just returning users. So the active user base is returning regularly to use the product because we have a desktop client that users have to log into to access the various servers across 20 different countries. And then we also use OpenVPN, which is just kind of open source software that they can use on their mobile devices. So long-winded answer, but it's been performing consistently. And if not over the last month, we have increased slightly in the revenue just because of the processes that I put in place for, someone to come in and turn the jet engines on.
So what are those processes? What changes have you made?
So when I first jumped into the business, I quickly realized that the recurring payments were based on an invoicing system on PayPal. And recurring payments, as we all know, need to be something that are automated. And that was the first order, I guess, was I needed to develop that baseline so that we could have some more fundamental metrics. And recurring payments have turned on. So that obviously increased the amount of, daily payments coming in because people are actually getting charged automatically instead of having to send invoices. That is automated, but people aren't more likely to, go through an entire invoicing process. So removing 3 or 4 stages of accepting a payment for a monthly recurring payment with those invoices to just a simple automated recurring charge was a pretty fundamental change in process for this business. So that was the first one. The second one was email marketing. So started designing some emails to go out for people that are 30 days after they've registered to just sort of remind people that there's other pricing plans, there's lifetime plans, and so on. And really just nailing down how people communicate. So the customer support needs to feed in directly to the development sides. They need to be able to be talking about what the issues are, what tickets are causing trends, or if there are trends in tickets, and just basically communication, keeping the lines of communication amongst all 3 people that are involved in this business, because ultimately customers decide where the product goes, especially in something that's so niche like this. I feel like a lot of the people that are signing up are very much guiding the boat, if you will. So they are coming through support and helping us with the roadmap. So those are just a brief high-level processes that I've implemented, mainly just recurring payments, communication, and just really just talking with email marketing to the customer base.
You mentioned lifetime plan. So for my understanding of this, a user could sign up, pay X amount to have lifetime access to this service. Is that correct?
Yes.
So walk me through this. What is the advantage to you, the business, to have someone sign up and never pay again? What's the advantage there?
Yeah, so this was a strategy from the original owner. They implemented lifetime plans. I believe he originally started at $200 was the original plan and then dropped it drastically down to, I think it was $20. And the first thing I did when I came in, other than talk about, development on the recurring payments, was we needed to just quickly raise the price even $10. And ultimately the goal is to either 4x the lifetime or remove it entirely. But this was something from the original owner, and I believe it to be something where he was trying to increase the amount of revenue right before, in probably the 24 months leading up to acquisition from me. I believe he was trying to just increase the amount of revenue, because lifetime to a user that signs up that's paying $30 for a piece of software, if they use that over the course of 24 months, that's kind of burdensome to the business, especially when there needs to be various new revenue streams coming in order to support that person. So the goal now is recurring revenue, and not necessarily removing that option entirely, but kind of turning down the volume on that option because it is a little burdensome over the long period of time.
Where does the majority of the traffic for the business come from?
Organic. So since the business has been around for 5 years, the organic traffic is by far the highest converting and the main pillar of this business. And that was one of the reasons why I was attracted to it, not only because of the 20,000 customer emails and customer information that is in this business, but it was the traffic itself that was so attractive to me. Was, when something's indexed by Google and it's primarily organic, I want to say that right now, over 40% of the traffic is organic and the rest is, direct and referral traffic. But there is a very consistent stream of organic traffic.
You mentioned that you have 3 team members in place for the business, presumably to make it fully automatic. Like you said, you want to put in these processes. So what does that leave for you as the owner to do to run the business?
Yeah, good question. So as I said, I have a customer support person who manages the tickets. I want to say it's around 10 tickets per day. And then I have the back end person who is managing all of the servers. And originally, I believe there was an additional team member that was managing. That job was split into 2. But right when I started, I said, okay, this can be consolidated into one person, and consolidated that role down into the managing servers as well as implementing new features, because that was kind of split across 2 roles. And I wanted to simplify. So effectively, it's 2 people, one managing the customer support and one managing the back-end features. And at the end of the day, that leads the owner to be, there's flexibility between $1,500 and $2,000 a month was what I originally was expecting in this business. But when we have a couple more expenses coming in and I wanted to increase what we were paying the people, because ultimately, in my opinion, people are very much the backbone of whether they're managing customer support or the back end. You would really want to make sure your people are happy. So I kind of throttled that down a little bit. And right now, I believe the profit is about $1,500 on average for the owner. And that can be negotiated with the consultants or the employees that we currently have helping out. It really just depends on how many features want to be implemented, as well as the marketing strategies that this next person will implement.
Clearly, you think that there is massive opportunity for this business, or you wouldn't have bought it 3 months ago. So what opportunities do you see this business having?
Good question. So the biggest opportunity that excites me about VPNs is a business-to-business strategy. So allowing teams at organizations, whether it's Empire Flippers, everybody that works at Empire Flippers that needs access to a VPN, we could provide a package that goes together so everyone at Empire Flippers has a secure connection using a VPN that's purchased in a subscription base. So doing a B2B strategy, whether it's called Teams, which is what I actually asked the customer base about, was if that was something that was interesting. And there was a very large response of people that said that it was something they were interested in because they had coworkers that didn't know what VPN to use. So I see that being easily a 7-figure channel. It just depends on the sales structure that's set up there, whether you implement an SDR and an account manager to kind of feed leads in and do some outbound. I feel like that's probably the biggest future of this business. Other people that I've talked to in the customer base of the VPN right now, they said that a mobile application as well as a new desktop client is a very valuable and potentially lucrative future for the business. But I personally think that it is the business to business sales approach for this.
Do you feel like there are any potential risks associated with this business that a new owner should be aware of?
The one risk that is part of the reason why I decided to consolidate that one role of the backend developer into managing servers is often when people use a VPN or any sort of privacy product, the searching that they're doing online is, they want it to be private. So the type of user that is coming through and searching the internet and performing tasks on the internet, we have terms of service on the website. And if users break that terms of service, we have to ban them from using the service. So often what will happen is that if a user comes in and does something like torrenting or some sort of activity on the internet that is against our terms of service, 9 times out of 10, it is against the terms of service of our virtual private server providers. So the people that we rely on all across the world to host our servers, they have terms of service as well. So the one risk that I knew coming into this and should be, everyone should be aware of is that you just have to kind of be aware of your user base. You have to know, is someone going to get the various server suspended, or are you going to have to ban them quickly? How quickly can you ban them? And what I really wanted to do when I was working with these 2 employees is they have helped drastically decrease the amount of suspensions. Before, it was, from what I understand, the previous owner was suffering a lot from that risk. And I alone have mitigated that easily 70% by consolidating that role down where one person is managing any issues with server providers, if that makes sense.
As you said, you regularly purchase, improve, and then flip businesses. So my question to you here is, why this business? What in particular about this business? You've gone into a little bit of this earlier, you like the organic traffic, but something stuck out to you about this particular business that made you think, yes, I can flip this. So what was the big thing?
Good question. I think the biggest thing for me is I am very passionate about privacy. I do believe that we are only at the tip of the iceberg of the lengths that people are going to go to reach privacy. I think that VPNs are undervalued. It is a very small market, and it is only just beginning. And I know that they've been around for, 10 years or so at this point, but I do think that it is only a very, very small percentage of people that use VPNs. And I think that whether it is when I first saw this and said, wow, there are 20,000 happy people that have used this product, not only does that prove that the software and the technology is sound and it works and it is attractive, but it means that if 20,000 people like it, 100,000 and 1,000,000 people would potentially like it as well. And that, to me, when I can see that quick validation of happy customers and then sending out a survey right after I acquire the business to make sure people are actually happy with it, and that was true, there's a lot of very exciting angles that this business can go in. And I think that the one that got me most excited was the fact that it's just the tip of the iceberg with 20,000 people. I think that this could easily become a 7-figure in the next 12 months with the right advertising and marketing in place.
I think that regardless of price, any software developer / owner would love to have 20,000 users who use it regularly. I mean, you're right. That is clear, massive fan base and potential there. But then on the flip side of what made you buy it, why now? I know you put your processes in place and that's what you typically do and then you get out. But why do you feel like now is the right time to sell it rather than continue to grow it and then you flip it later? Why now?
I feel like there is a potential to wait. There is a potential that I could wait 3 months, 2 whole quarters if I really, really focused on just the marketing and advertising, hiring a third-party agency to come in and just really ramp up the advertising and test Google Ads, because I have done extensive research that I can talk to a potential buyer with. I had some R&D done on the competitors to see what they are doing as far as advertising that works. And I really think that I could easily 2, maybe 3x the revenue over the next 12 months. But I do feel like there are other people out there that are that they could probably 10x the revenue over the next 12 months. And I'm much more of a fan of allowing someone that's just as passionate as me about the space make 10 times more revenue than me. I think that alone is exciting because I very much love buying businesses and analyzing them. And just as much, I like talking to entrepreneurs who do the same. And I feel like the buyer of this website, I would like to communicate with them and talk to them and really help them take this to the next level. So I don't see the end of our conversation being when the deal is done. I guess if that makes sense. I like the idea of thinking that this would be an ongoing relationship.
Mm-hmm. Why do you prefer to buy and flip rather than start your own businesses?
Like I said at the beginning, I've started multiple startups, had teams of 10, 15 people, raised $5 million across probably 2 different companies. And I live here in Silicon Valley, so it's kind of like the vanity metric is how much money you've raised. But the reality of it is that, after I sold my business to Max Levchin, the founder of PayPal, I realized quickly that, he had his hand in so many different online products, so many online businesses. And that was sort of the aha moment where I said, okay, well, I don't necessarily have to be focusing on one 0 to 1 product. Maybe I can go out there and I can acquire 10 1 to 2 products, meaning that products that are already working and functional and generating revenue profitably, those have been much more attractive than starting from scratch, in my opinion.
I mean, you hear this a lot, but it's easier to go from 1,000 to 2,000 sales than 0 to 1,000.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's much more, in my opinion, it feels much more rewarding when you're taking a business that's already working and implementing various strategies that you've developed over the years and making it even better. To me, that just from a personal level, I like the feeling of that instead of starting from scratch. And because I've done that game, I had a lot of fun in it and made good money in that business, but I've had much more fun buying and selling. I think it's a much more fun space to me.
Would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, definitely. I'm always, because me coming into this, having been on both sides where I've been the buyer and I've been the seller before, I think that non-competes are really important because they align everyone's interests. And there's no reason for sellers to not, in my opinion, because it's instant trust. And I think that it's very important. So yes.
You kind of touched on this before when you said that you would want any talks with a new owner to be kind of an ongoing relationship. But how much support specifically are you willing to offer a new owner during the transition period?
Got it. So I think that in the initial transition period, a lot of the heavy lifting will be on the tech side. So whether the new owner themselves is a software developer or they have a team of people that they need to introduce us to, I do feel like that's probably a 30-day period. And I'm definitely comfortable doing a 30-day level of support and then continuing on, in sort of a non-official way of communication. Like I still talk to people that I bought websites from 2 years ago. I still communicate with everyone that I do deals with. And I like to keep it that way because it's always a two-way channel. There's always new deals coming in and different things going on. So it's 30-day of support, or I'm always flexible for how much the buyer needs. I feel like I'm very available for people to communicate with me directly about how much support they need.
Are you open to negotiating on something like an earnout?
Yes, I'm open to that. I do feel like as long as the earnout is within a reasonable time frame, I'm definitely open to it.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you so much for the time. I have one final question for you, but before we get to that, I want to go ahead and run through that little quick summary of the business again. The business was built in September of 2013, has a monthly revenue of $3,080, expenses of $674 to make for a net profit of $2,406, which is generated on a 7-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the primary domain and all site content and files, all assets, servers, and source code. social media accounts, and survey results. Steve, looking at this as not only someone who has purchased it in the past, but is now selling it, why do you feel like it is a business worth buying?
I feel like it's a business worth buying because, as I mentioned previously before, the privacy niche is just kicking off. It's very much becoming mainstream. A lot of people, including the next generation of kids that are in high school right now, even kids that are in middle school right now, are using VPNs. It's becoming much more mainstream. And I feel like we are at the very bottom of a mega trend as far as privacy. So I feel like the opportunity is just getting started with people in the VPN business. And based on all of the research that I've done that I'll talk to a potential buyer about is, there's a lot of big players spending millions of dollars every year on advertising and marketing in this space because they've identified what I did as well with this business and the space. So it is a very exciting space to be getting into right now, given the next generation's focus on it.
Steve, thank you again so much for taking the time with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and if you want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business advisors will be in contact with you, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.